the 6th, not the 6th, Saturday the 9th of December, and welcome to our 6 o'clock news here from Wyke Regis TV. And in the news this week, 6 homes could be created in the former Methodist Church in Portland Road, Wyke Regis, Weymouth. The church closed in September 2021. There is already widespread local opposition to the scheme, with many objections already being submitted. The planning application for the conversion has been submitted by London-based Capital Securities Limited. The proposal is to convert the former Methodist Church into 6 flats, but there is no parking provision for the scheme in what is already a highly congested area, although 8 cycle bays are included as part of the scheme. The building will remain visually unchanged on the external side, with most of the changes happening internally to split the building up into the flats. One local resident's objection has said, "As a resident of Victoria Road, I'm objecting to this development due to the parking issues it will bring. Parking is always a premium, and I believe that this is due to increase in previous businesses being converted into flats. I do not think for 1 minute that all the purchasers of these flats will only have bicycles. I'm aware that there are concerns around access down our road already, and this development will only add to it." Weymouth Town Council and Weymouth Civic Society have added their voice to the objections, echoing the views of residents who are all worried about the parking. 30 years after her death, the first ever exhibition dedicated to Elizabeth Frink's time in Dorset will showcase over 80 sculptures, drawings and prints at Dorset Museum, including the working plasters that informed the final bronze sculptures that have never been put on public display before. The exhibition opened this week on the 2nd of December and will run through until the 21st of April next year. One of the most celebrated sculptures of recent times, the first female sculptor to be elected as a Royal Academician in 1973, Dame Elizabeth Frink, who lived from 1930 to 1993, produced over 400 sculptures throughout her career, a significant part of which was produced at her Woolland studio in Dorset between 1976 and 1993. As part of this new exhibition, her Dorset studio will be recreated, featuring her tools and the working plasters that form the basis for some of her most well-known bronze sculptures, giving visitors a unique opportunity to step inside and see how one of Britain's foremost artists worked. As well as understanding her artistic process, visitors will get a chance to explore the influence of her private Dorset life with a selection of personal possessions on display, including letters and photographs. Now, although Elizabeth was primarily known for her sculptures, she also mastered many techniques such as printmaking, lithography and etching, which the exhibition will also spotlight. She worked with major printmaking studios to create book illustrations such as The Children of the Gods, The Complete Myths and Legends of Ancient Greece, demonstrating the influence that poetry and history had on her output. Now, the exhibition is sponsored by Duke's Fine Art Auctioneers. The exhibition is generously also supported by the Arts Council of England through the Wessex Museums Partnership, and other funders include J.P. Marlin Trust, the Henry Moore Foundation, the Finis Scott Foundation and the Fine Family Foundation. As I say, that runs at Dorset Museum from this week through to the 21st of April. Dorset and Somerset Air Ambulance has announced that online registration is now open for next year's Coast to Coast Cycle Challenge, which takes place on Saturday the 18th of May 2024. The ever popular event is not designed as a race and involves cycling through some of Dorset and Somerset's most beautiful countryside. There are 2 routes available to choose from: a 55-mile route, which starts at Watchet Harbour in Somerset at 10:30 and finishes in the Dorset Seaside Resort of West Bay, and a shorter 11-mile route, which starts at the Royal Oak Public House in Drimpton at 2 p.m. and also finishes at West Bay. With a mixture of quiet back roads interspersed with some very demanding climbs and equally hairy descents, the event has something to offer for everyone. There are several pit stops along the route, which provides a well-earned rest and refreshments for those who want it. As ever, there will only be 600 places available. Participants can enter as an individual or as a team, and the charity is asking anyone who's fortunate enough to get a place to raise a minimum of £50 in sponsorship. Emma Jones, who's the Dorset and Somerset Air Ambulance fundraising manager, said next year's Coast to Coast Cycle Challenge has moved back to its usual calendar spot in May, and we really can't wait to see everyone on the day. This will be our 13th year running this popular cycle event, which brings people from across our two beautiful counties together, including patients who have experienced the work of our service firsthand. Those who are cycling in memory of loved ones, or those who simply want to challenge themselves and support the charity in return. Now, to get more information and to book your place, the website to go to is the Dorset and Somerset Air Ambulance website, which is www.dsAirambulance.org.uk, and it's /C2C, C2C as in cycle to coast, www.dsAirambulance.org.uk /C2C. Now, support is mounting for an RSPB campaign to dredge Weymouth Radipole Lake following recent flooding in the area. An online petition has also been started by Town Councillor Matt Bell, who is calling for authorities to dredge Radipole Lake of silt after flooding around the River Wey area from Storm Ciarán, and obviously heavy rain since. The last few months have seen the ground stay saturated and remain wet, as river levels have not come down properly since Storm Ciarán. The online petition currently has more than 1,150 signatures. Following meetings between Councillor Bell and the RSPB, dramatic changes were put forward that were said to benefit all whilst improving the ecology. But Councillor Bell said it was dependent on Dorset Council being willing to carry out these actions as the landowners and local lead flood authority. He said the RSPB continue to be willing to lower water levels substantially during the September to March timeframe each year. This requires Dorset Council to action this process at the sluice gates at Western Bridge in a timely fashion. The RSPB are also keen to encourage a silt removal feasibility study, and they have prepared a grant application for this. According to the council, the RSPB is also willing to have the reed beds moved further back by desilting if required. Councillor Bell said the main challenges involve transporting silt away from the lake after its removal, which a feasibility study would consider. Now, if you want to add your name to that petition, the website is www.change.org /dredge Radipole Lake. So that's www.change.org dredge Radipole Lake. Now, a man has been charged. Bear with me a second. A man has been charged and will appear in court in Weymouth on the 3rd of January in connection with a fatal road traffic collision in Woolland Gardens, Wyke Regis. Dorset Police were called to report the collision involving a Mercedes Sprinter van and a pedestrian in Woolland Gardens just before 1 o'clock on Tuesday the 2nd of May 2023. Emergency service attended, and sadly the pedestrian, a local woman aged in her 90s and known to many people, was pronounced dead at the scene. A 40-year-old man from Southampton was arrested in connection with the incident. Following inquiries by the Road Policing Unit of Dorset Police, he has now been charged with causing death by driving without due care and consideration while over the specified limit for a controlled drug. So that's on the 3rd of January at Weymouth Magistrates Court. Following Cabinet endorsement on the 5th of December, the Dorset Council UK Shared Prosperity Fund and Rural England Prosperity Funds grants for both community groups and organisations, together with local business grants, will launch, and these will be available from the 12th of December. Community groups and organisations can apply for grants between £1,000 and £15,000, and local businesses can apply for grants between £2,000 and £20,000 per business. Dorset Council has been allocated just over £6 million via the UK Shared Prosperity Fund for use within the county, with funds available until completion in March 2025. The scheme is a central pillar of the UK Government's Levelling Up agenda, which provides £2.6 billion of funding for local investment across the UK by March 2025. The fund aims to improve pride in place and increase life chances across the UK by investing in communities and places, supporting local businesses, people and skills. There are three fundamental elements to the fund: people, pride in the place they love, empowered local leaders and communities, and stronger social fabric with better life chances. Round one of both these funds will open on Tuesday the 12th of December and close on Wednesday the 31st of January 2024. The grants will be assessed by a panel made up of councillors, Dorset Council officers and independent reviewers. For further details on either of these schemes, please visit the Shared Prosperity Fund pages on the Dorset Council website. So Shared Prosperity Fund pages on the Dorset Council website. You put that into Google, Shared Prosperity Fund, Dorset Council, and I'm sure you will get to those pages. Now, detectives from Dorset Police are appealing for any witnesses to a reported disturbance that took place in Weymouth to come forward. At around 3:10 a.m. on Sunday the 3rd of December, officers were called to reports that a group of people were walking around the town provoking fights and assaulting members of the public. It is reported that during the incident, a driver of a Citroen was threatened in Park Street car park by individuals who were armed with knives. 2 women sustained minor injuries during the incident. A 20-year-old local man has been arrested on suspicion of a fray and possession of a bladed article with intent to cause fear of violence. Officers are also appealing for witnesses or anyone with information to come forward after a fire that is believed to have been started deliberately in Weymouth. It's reported that around 5 p.m. on Friday the 17th of November, the fire services responded to a call from a member of the public that a tent had been set on fire at Bowleys Cove. The tent was pitched on an area of the beach between the Oasis Cafe and the Fantasy Island Fun Park. It was unoccupied at the time of the fire. Damage was caused to the tent as well as the victim's belongings inside. Officers attended along with the fire service. Police Constable Bryce Scott Jones of Weymouth and Portland Police said thankfully nobody was injured during the incident. However, this has caused a great deal of distress for the victim. We have now been able to obtain a full account from them and I am in a position to appeal for information. And finally, from Dorset Police today, police officers are issuing images of 2 men they would like to identify as they investigate an altercation that left 2 people injured in Weymouth. At around 3:50 a.m. on Saturday the 2nd of December, it was reported that a fight broke out involving 3 men and a woman at the junction of St Alban Street and Maiden Street. As a result of the incident, a man and woman aged in their 20s sustained minor injuries. Police Constable Sarita Savalonian of Dorset Police said, "We have been investigating this incident and have obtained images of 2 people we would like to identify as part of our inquiries. I would urge anyone with information regarding their identities to come forward." Now, if you can help with the identities of these 2 individuals or the other 2 incidents we have told you about this evening, then please do call Dorset Police on 101. Or if you wish to give that information anonymously, you can do this via the Crime Stoppers charity on 0800 555 111. That's 0800 555 111. Now, an appeal from the coroner of Dorset, who are looking to help from the public to find the next of kin of a man who lived in Weymouth. David Wood, who was 67 years old, died at his home address in Rockhampton Close on Thursday this week. His death is not being treated as suspicious and no police investigation is necessary. Coroner's Officer Pip Morgan said, "We are not treating the death as suspicious, however we have not been able to locate his next of kin." So if you know anything of the family or next of kin of David Wood, who was 67 years of age, who died at his home address in Rockhampton Close this week, then please do contact the Coroner's Office on 01202 118 939. That's 01202 118 939. They would obviously love to hear from you to see if they can make contact with David's next of kin or a family member. Now, plans for a regional fire and rescue training centre for Dorset based at Weymouth have been submitted for approval by Dorset and Wilts Fire and Rescue. The land to be used was previously the SafeWise and Streetwise safety training area used by thousands of children and young people for safety education behind the fire station in Radipole Lane, Weymouth. The multi-million-pound development, which will look like a film set, is planned for the rear of the existing community station in Radipole Lane. It will replace the existing outdated countrywide county-wide training centre at the former Army base in West Moors. It is thought the facility, if it goes ahead, together with refurbishment of a facility in Devizes in Wiltshire, will cost together around £8 million. The new Weymouth Centre will feature a wide range of settings for staff training, including crash vehicles, work accident settings, and rescue and firefighting in a range of buildings, as well as breathing apparatus training facilities. The Fire and Rescue Service say they have held several consultation events with near neighbours and have extensive proposals to deal with any likely smoke, noise or fumes. Weymouth Councillor Pete Barrow, who sits on the Fire and Rescue Authority, had previously welcomed the development. He said, "We all need a fire and rescue service that can respond effectively and safely if we need help, and this requires the staff to be trained to the highest possible standards. I'm convinced the new training centre will enable the service to do just that." Now, the new centre will probably bring around 17 training and support staff to the new facility and 12 to 20 students at a time on the courses that will be run there. Now, staying with the fire service, local businesses are being reminded to keep their premises safe from fire in the final run-up to Christmas. Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue Service wants all local businesses to check their fire risk assessments and make changes to their processes if necessary. Business Fire Safety Manager Ellie Gray said during the festive season shops can have large amounts of extra stock, decorations are usually hung up, and there can be seasonal employees who perhaps don't know the processes as well as other staff. Too many businesses don't recover after the devastation of having a fire, so we really want people to take a bit of time to check their premises are safe as possible. She went on to say all businesses are required by law to have a fire risk assessment, but this may need to be amended to reflect any changes to internal layout, additional lights and decorations, or anything that may impact on your fire safety precautions. Now, among the risks that are being highlighted by the Fire and Rescue Services at this time to businesses are safe storage of additional stock so it doesn't block thoroughfares or fire emergency exits or doors, safe disposal of additional packaging such as cardboard, maintaining safe escape routes at all times, ensuring the temporary staff fully understand what to do in the event of a fire, keeping decorations away from alarm sensors and anything that generates heat, not overloading plug sockets to accommodate lights and additional equipment, blocking access to or communal areas of any residential provision above the business. And also other things to remember include maintaining and testing fire safety equipment and systems. There's also a legal requirement to ensure that a premises fire risk assessment is carried out and making sure you keep your staff training up to date. Now, if you're a business and you want some extra information or advice and guidance, then pop along to the Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue website at www.dwfr.org.uk/save-safely. That's www.dwfr.org.uk/save-safely. Now, Dorset Council is receiving over £1 million of government funding to help some of the most vulnerable people in the area and to help them avoid becoming homeless or living on the streets. The council is adding £539,000 of investment which will be spent on the bus shelter and a new women's unit. The council put forward 2 applications for grant funding from the Single Homeless Accommodation Programme earlier in this year to support the expansion of the bus shelter project in Weymouth and the creation of a brand new complex women's unit. Now, the bus shelter project, the first grant of over £281,000 will help build 5 self-contained modular homes, they're usually known as pods, for people who are ready to live independently at the bus shelter situated on the council's Old Park and Ride site. And the complex women's unit, the second grant will be over £781,000, and this will go towards providing much needed accommodation and services to women who have complex lives and need to be housed in a female only environment. Councillor Jane Somper, portfolio holder for People, Adult Social Care, Health and Housing, said, "We are delighted we have been awarded 2 grants to support our work to end homelessness in our area. This funding will make a huge difference to people in our communities who find themselves in hardship and without a safe space to call home. Now, it's your last chance to have a say in Weymouth's Neighbourhood Plan. Time is running out to influence the content of Weymouth's Neighbourhood Plan, as the deadline is fast approaching to get your chance in to respond to the consultation process, which closes this Friday, the 15th of December at 5 p.m. Now, the area covered in Weymouth's Neighbourhood Plan is the largest endorser and one of the biggest in England, and sets policies for the town's future development through to 2038. If you have not looked at the plan and submitted your views, there's just a few days left. As we say, the closing date and time is 5 p.m. this coming Friday. How can you have your say? Well, you can pop along to the Weymouth Town Council website and view it online at www.weymouthtowncouncil.gov.uk, or you can attend the final drop-in session that's happening this week, which takes place on Wednesday, that's the 13th of December, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the new Town Hall, Council Chamber on Commercial Road in Weymouth. Members of the steering group will be available to talk about the plan and answer questions. So pop along to the website, weymouthtowncouncil.gov.uk, or 13th of December, 4 to 6 p.m. at the new Town Hall on Commercial Road. Now, a main road on Portland is going to face disruption this coming week, with temporary traffic lights being used to control traffic. The A354 at Chisel, the main road for those coming off the island, will see two-way lights from Monday at the junction with Brandy Row. These are required for works for Wessex Water Sewage Works, and the work should be completed by Friday, that's the 15th of December. And finally, in our news tonight, children in Portland were transported back to the Jurassic Age, dived to the depths of the oceans, cast spells with Friendly Dragon, and even experienced 4 seasons in one day. The lucky youngsters were able to walk with dinosaurs and float with octopuses thanks to the UK's first ever 5G immersive classroom. Dorset Council joined forces with BT to help bring this next generation in learning experience to St George's Primary School and Atlantic Academy. The BT Immersive Classroom is a 360-degree portable space that creates a digital projection on the walls and floor to bring the real world alive for students. They can experience what it's like to be in outer space, or in a World War I battlefield, or even on the top of Everest. Dorset Council's portfolio holder for corporate development and transformation, Councillor Jill Haynes, said, "We were delighted to work with BT to bring this amazing experience to school pupils in Portland. The opportunities digital can now bring to education is incredibly exciting, and with it we can find new ways of inspiring children to learn. It really does help to bring learning to life." Now, Sarah Nelson from BT added, "The team and I had an incredible time in Dorset, transforming education from standard classroom teaching to an engaging and memorable experience. It was fantastic to see the students' enthusiasm to learn as we took them to the Great Fire of London, a World War I trench, and through the planets in our solar system." Now, if you're interested to learn more about that, pop along to Google and search for BT Immersive Classroom. BT Immersive Classroom, and you will find all the details there and exactly what that is all about. That's the end of our headlines tonight. Now, you remember, over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the new areas of outstanding natural beauty, which have been renamed as National Landscapes. And we have got our fair share in Dorset. And this week, it's the turn of Abbotsbury and St Catherine's Chapel. And in this video, we see the natural beauty of Abbotsbury and St Catherine's Chapel. St Catherine's Chapel sits high on a hilltop overlooking Chesil Beach and the Isle of Portland. This 14th century chapel was built by the monks of the nearby Abbotsbury Abbey and was used as a place of pilgrimage and retreat. Today, the chapel sits on top of the hill in splendid isolation. Here we go. This is Abbotsbury and St Catherine's Chapel. that's some of our national landscapes here in Dorset with Abbotsbury there and St Catherine's Chapel. And I think perhaps some of us sometime, because we live in the area and we just see these things normally every days of our life, don't actually realise how lucky we are and how special places we have around us. And of course I will be sharing more of those with you in the weeks ahead. Now, hot off the presses this afternoon, or this evening for you, we're going to pop across to see our gardener, Clive Gray, who to see what he's been up to in the garden this week. So this is This Week in the Garden with Clive Gray.
Hello again. Well, I've no need to tell you how bad the weather has been. It's blowing a gale outside. I can't really do much in the garden today, and it's been wet. The ground is sodden, so I can't really do much outside. I've got my plants still growing in here. I've still got some of these little cauliflower plants. So if you do want any, I've got 15-20 of them left, so please let me know. But getting up and down the garden in the poor weather is not easy, and we've had a mixture of bad rain, very wet ground, and then frosts, and some hard frosts as well. And one thing you can't do is come onto your grass in the frost, because as you walk on it or ride on it, it's going to burn the grass and cause a lot of damage. So I'm just taking it very easy at the moment, just picking up some bits and pieces, tidying up. But I have got a little project planned for the start of the new year, putting a cover over our little barbecue area by the brick shed, and I'll share that with you in the new year. But hopefully these little cauliflowers down here are going to grow through nicely, give us some nice food to pick out, and the lovely onions growing in here, they're really doing very well. So I'm really pleased with everything that's going on in the greenhouse at the moment. No problems at all. But I want to share just a couple of things that are planned in the garden for the new year. So let me just take you up there and show you that. Well, I'm sure you remember a couple of years ago when I built the stream here, which is still functional and still working, but is a lot of maintenance. So I've decided to destroy it, to remove it. And I'm going to break all of the base down, bury it down underneath, make a Dutch drain, and then plant a load of lavender over the top and make a stream of lavender running through the garden. It'll make life a lot easier for me. Maintenance will be minimal, and the bulrushes and things that I've got growing, I'll transfer into the pond at the bottom of the garden, which will be rather nice. Also, one of the things I'm going to do with the pond, I'm going to take some of the weed out of it, put it onto the side, let any wildlife crawl back into the pond, and I'll share that with you in a show at the start of the new year. So yes, whilst everything is very damp and horrible underground, the future looks very bright, and I'm really looking forward to next year. Well, I've got to be fair, this year has been really hard. With my health failing a little bit, trying to keep my job going and everything else, it's just been a very hard year. However, things are going to be looking up now. So I'm going to retire. I'm finishing my job at the end of this calendar year, which will allow me much more time for the garden next year. And so I'll be able to do what I want to do, to enjoy myself and have a bit of fun. But to close down this year, I'm going to just wish you all a very Merry Christmas, a happy and prosperous New Year. And I'll just say to you all, stay well, be happy, be kind to each other, and with a rather nice glass of Bordeaux, I wish you all the very best and happy gardening. Cheers. Oh.
go. And thank you very much to Clive for all he's done through 2023, and wish Clive and Julie all the best for Christmas and a happy new year. And Clive will be back with us in the new year, and we wish him well with his retirement from his daytime job as well, and hope he can spend more time in the garden, which I know is his plan and what he enjoys. Now it's time in the programme to go over to our other regular contributor, Andrew Wright, for this week's film review and preview.
Welcome to White Regis TV Film Review and Preview. I'm Andrew Wright. This week, the new Kenneth Branagh Poirot film, A Haunting in Venice, was released on home video. The film is directed by and stars Kenneth Branagh as Belgian detective Hercule Poirot, a retired world-renowned private detective who has been living in self-imposed exile in Venice since the events of Death on the Nile. In this new film, Poirot is invited by a friend to a séance in order to debunk her, but ends up involved in a sinister murder plot. The film also stars Jamie Dornan, Tina Fey, Jude Hill, and Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh. Now, this was the first time I watched this film, as I didn't know that they had released on Disney Plus last week. My thoughts, so it was my first time watching the film, and the script was a bit bland, but the cinematography and directing and Branagh's acting were really made what made the film enjoyable. So I gave the film 3.5 stars out of 5. This week, the 5th and final Indiana Jones film, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, was released on home video. The film stars Harrison Ford as the aging Indiana Jones, who teams up with his estranged goddaughter to locate a powerful artifact before a Nazi NASA scientist can use it to alter the outcome of World War II. The film also stars Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Toby Jones, Boyd Holbrook, and Mads Mikkelsen. The film is the only one directed by James Mangold, famous for directing Logan and Ford v Ferrari in the UK, called Le Mans 66, after Steven Spielberg stepped down from the film in 2020. Now, this was the first time I'd watched the film, as it hasn't come out on Disney Plus yet, and it wasn't as bad as I heard it was. Harrison Ford does give it everything he's got one last time, but the rest of the cast are kind of annoying, and the CGI work is very shoddy. And when the 3 Indiana Jones films from the 80s are of such good quality, a film like this just can't come close. I gave the film 3 stars out of 5. It arrives on Disney Plus on December 15th. This weekend, the musical fantasy film Wonka is released in cinemas. The film is directed by Paddington director Paul King and is a loose adaptation of the Roald Dahl book Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, as this film focuses on the origin story of Willy Wonka, the eccentric chocolatier, previously played by Johnny Depp in the 2005 Tim Burton film, and Gene Wilder, I believe, in the 1970s film. The film stars Timothée Chalamet as Wonka alongside an ensemble cast including Keegan-Michael Key, Paxton Joseph, Matt Lucas, Sally Hawkins, Rowan Atkinson, Olivia Colman, and Hugh Grant. So far, the film has about 85% positive reviews from critics who praise the film's songs, as well as how the film handles the characters and the source material's darker undertones. The film is in cinemas this weekend. I'll probably watch it when it comes out on home video, which will be in about April, so stay tuned for that. That's all I have for this week, but be sure to check back next week, where I will be talking about The Equalizer 3, Saw X, and possibly Expendables 4, depending on how everything works out, because I haven't seen Expendables 2 and 3 yet, but I'm getting Expendables 4, so it's a whole thing. Now back to Gary in the studio.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and we'll be back with Andrew next week. And we do have a movie trailer for you this week. It is Godzilla vs. Kong: The New Empire. The epic battle continues. Legendary Pictures' cinematic Monsterverse follows up on the explosive showdown of Godzilla vs. Kong, with an all-new adventure that pits the almighty Kong and the fearsome Godzilla against a colossal undiscovered threat hidden within our world, challenging their very existence and our own. Godzilla vs. Kong, The New Empire, delves further into the histories of these titans and their origins, as well as the mysteries of Skull Island and beyond, while uncovering the mythic battle that helped forge these extraordinary beings and tie them to humankind forever. Godzilla vs. Kong, The New Empire will be released in the UK in April, on the 12th of April 2024, and it comes as ever from Warner Brother Pictures, and here is a taster for you now.
For most of human civilization, we believed that life could only exist on the surface of our planet. What else were we wrong about?
Welcome to my world. Won't you come on in?
This world has more secrets than we could possibly imagine.
Miracles I get. Still happen now and then.
What is that?
That's not Kong. What could have done this?
Kong can't stop this on his own.
He won't be alone.
Welcome to my world.
Is that a mini Kong?
There we go, that is Godzilla vs. Kong, The New Empire, released in the UK on 12th of April 2024, and it comes from Warner Brothers Pictures. Now it's time for the weekend weather forecast, and we go to the Met Office, and this week we are joined by Ellie Glazier.
Hello, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office. Storm Ellen has been named by the Irish Met Service, bringing some very strong winds and some heavy rainfall across the Republic of Ireland and tracking its way into parts of northern England and Scotland through this afternoon. We do then see a very brief ridge of high pressure through Saturday evening before the next system pushes in from the west through Sunday and into the start of next week. Back to Saturday afternoon though, and that heavy rain that we saw across England and Wales has pushed its way north and eastwards into northern England, Northern Ireland and into parts of eastern Scotland as well, where we could see the heaviest rainfall, and this rain already falling on some very wet ground. The best of the sunshine through Saturday afternoon, definitely across the south and east of the UK, and temperatures here around 13 or 14 degrees, but with a strong westerly wind that will take a notch off those temperatures. Temperatures generally closer to average across parts of northern England and parts of Northern Ireland as well, but again those strong winds making it feel quite chilly here. Through Saturday evening, that rain across the northern half of the UK tracks its way south and eastwards, bringing some particularly heavy rainfall across the Pennines overnight tonight and into Sunday morning. Some clear spells still persisting across England and Wales, but despite those clear spells, there will be some strong winds, and that should help keep temperatures up above freezing. Temperatures across the south generally around 6 or 7 degrees, but perhaps just a little bit cooler across the northern half of the UK. Despite that bright and sunny start across England and Wales on Sunday morning, and the next system pushes in from the west, bringing further spells of wet and windy weather that spread their way north and eastwards through into Sunday afternoon. That heavy rain again falling on some very saturated ground, so perhaps some localised flooding in places, and those strong winds generally affecting those western coasts first. The best of the sunshine definitely across parts of England and Wales through Sunday afternoon, and again temperatures here around 13 or 14 degrees, but those strong winds definitely taking a notch off those temperatures, and a little bit cooler across Northern Ireland, Northern England and Scotland with all that cloud and rain. Through Sunday evening, those clear skies persist for a time across parts of England and Wales before we see some showers pushing in from the west into the early hours of Monday morning. The heaviest showers likely across Northern Ireland, Wales and then into parts of Northern England as well into the early hours of Monday morning, but generally the south and the east will be staying a little bit clearer. Further wet weather on its way on Monday, but you can find out more about that on our social media channels, and make sure you subscribe to never miss a weather update. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Ellie. And now looking at the local weather for the weekend and the week ahead. Here we go. It's going to be a bit milder with the top temperatures during the day up between 10 and 14, but the opportunity of them dropping a bit nearer zero overnight. Wet at the start of the week, but hopefully drying up a bit towards the end of this week. Wonder what Christmas will have in store with us and whether we will get a wet, a cold or a white Christmas. A couple of weeks to go. We'll have to just wait and see. Moving on to our What's On section tonight. We have got just a few things happening. Things are thinning out a bit now as we get up into towards Christmas. We have got Weymouth Pavilion, the Christmas pantomime. From the 16th of December to the 31st of December, Snow White. And the 5th of January, the BSO Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra New Year Viennese Gala. As ever, you can book tickets for those online at weymouthpavilion.com or by phoning the box office 01305 783 225. Northfort has got an artillery day tomorrow and also has got performances by Picklebottom the Elf. And on the 16th and 17th of December, a Christmas Carol with the As One Theatre. More details about those and how to book tickets on the Northfort website, www.northfort.org.uk. Nothing specific to report to you from Arts Reach this week. A couple of things happening in the run-up to Christmas, but waiting to hear what is on after the Christmas season as they get to the end of their autumn programme. But check in on their website at www.artsreach.co.uk to see what they have coming up just before Christmas. Now, thinking of Christmas things in White Regis, Friday this week, the 15th, there's a free concert of Christmas music by Weymouth Concert Brass at All Saints Church at 7:30 p.m. I believe there's a bar as well afterwards, but it's free. I think there's donations and there is a bar. Sunday the 17th of December, if you want something more traditional, there is the traditional carol service of Lessons and Carols at All Saints Church at 6:30 p.m. I believe there will be Christmas cake and mulled wine served afterwards. And on Monday the 18th, there will be the carols in White Square around the Christmas tree at 7:15 p.m. So that's Friday 15th, All Saints Church for Weymouth Concert Brass concert 7:30. Sunday the 17th at 6:30 for traditional lessons and carols. And Monday the 18th, 7:15, White Square around the Christmas tree. Looking at church services this weekend, tomorrow 8 o'clock and 9:30 at All Saints Church and 11 o'clock at St Edmunds. Our other programmes, tonight our quiz, of course, as ever, Saturday evening quiz at 7:30. Stream will go live about 7:15. which is in just over half an hour there, so that you can find the stream and sit down comfortably to start promptly at 7:30. Everyone is welcome there. It's for the community, it's family friendly, and of course it's free of charge. That's the most important thing. Do come along and join in if you haven't got anything else on this evening. And of course, if you've got any news for us, any events coming up, or anything you want to share with the local community here in White Regis, South Dorset and beyond, then do drop me a line during the week at news@whiteregis.tv, news@whiteregis.tv, and I would love to hear from you with anything that will be of interest. Well, that brings us to the end of this week's programme. Hope you have a good weekend and a good week ahead as we get closer to Christmas. Hopefully you'll be attending some of those Christmas events that are coming up either locally here in White Regis or in your community, and hopefully starting to slow down a bit towards the Christmas season. So have a good weekend. I will be back with you next Saturday at 6 o'clock. Good night.